successful, owing to which the summit will be held in completely online mode. Without further ado, I am extremely delighted to welcome Ms. Richa Shrivastava as our guest speaker for the day. Ma'am is a strategic collaborator and partner for Makers Asylum. As the managing director of Makers Asylum, she believes that the future of learning is evolving. Ma'am is a graduate from Indian School of Business and has worked with the government of Andhra Pradesh to drive fintech and blockchain investments into the state. She has been an instrumental asset in forging strategic partnerships with the likes of Monetary Authority of Singapore, Visa, and 30 plus such partners for Fintech Valley, Vizag. Ma'am has also worked in the Indian telecommunication industry. She was recognized as the emerging professional by the chairman of Aditya Birla Group for her exceptional contribution during telecom spectrum auctions held by the Government of India. Today, she will enlighten us on taking the road less traveled by, challenges, sacrifices, and the difference it can make. I welcome you, ma'am, and over to you now.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. I can actually start with sharing a quick presentation. I wanted to sort of take everyone through a little bit of a visual journey of what I have been doing for the last couple of years. And hopefully it'll be exciting for you to sort of learn about it. And I'm really excited to be back virtually, at least on the campus, and interacting with all of you. So thank you for joining again. Let me just share my screen quickly. All right. Are you able to see my screen? Can somebody give me a cue?
Not yet, ma'am. Not yet, ma'am.
Are you able to now?
Yes, ma'am. Now we can see it.
Okay, great. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to the session. I will be taking you through a little bit of a glimpse into what I've been doing over the last couple of years. I don't know how much wisdom I have to offer, but I've put down some points after every phase of my life to give you a little bit of insight of what I was doing and when it happened. So I hope that you can take away a little bit from it. But yeah, let's get to it. So at the moment, I am working with Makers Asylum. I run this along with my partner. It's a makerspace, a community makerspace where you can learn practical engineering and design skills to go from ideation to prototyping and creation. But I'll talk a little bit more about Makers Asylum a little later as I take you through a little bit of a quick journey of what I've been up to. So this is a little bit of a blast from the past. This is when I was back in the day at BIT Mesra. I love this table, so I've put down, this is at the canteen on the left where I've put down my picture. I used to really love the tree over there. We used to hang out quite a bit around it, and a couple of pictures with my friends, and I was part of IEEE, so I don't know if Onion still happens over there, but this was from Onion at one of the years where we were organizing it and things like that. So a little bit of sort of nostalgia when I was putting the presentation together this morning, and wanted to sort of show you guys as well a little bit of how it used to be like when we were here. This is a couple of my really good friends, still my really close friends from back in the day, and this is at the hostel. We were in, I forgot the name, forgot the number now, hostel. The girls' hostel. I forgot the number now, but nonetheless. But quick things before I go into what I was doing before BIT Mesra happened. So I grew up all across the country. My dad had a very exciting, work where he had to move a couple of years every time. So I was born in Pune and I was raised in about 10 cities growing up. So that's what I did before BIT Mesra. I used to change schools constantly, but I really loved moving because change was something that was really exciting for me, because every city sort of had a really new way of looking at culture, language. I love the food as well. So a lot of places that I grew up, it's been a very exciting way of sort of looking at the cultural dimension of India. Well, at least I was told that you have to ace your academics to, get to a respectable, successful career. So that's what I thought about, and that's why I kept doing over the years. So I was at least, I was working hard towards what I wanted to do, sort of from a perspective of, the way that we had told about engineering in India. At least when I did engineering, it was back in 2006. So it was still a couple of years ago. So it's been like now, I don't know, 15 odd years now. So I think now things have been changing towards the way that we look at engineering and look at other streams. But at that time, at least, it was still like the more coveted thing to do. I took a gap year in Hyderabad to prepare for engineering. So I was working on my IIT JEE at that time, and there was something called AIEEE. So did a bunch of that, but I took a gap year at that time. Everybody told me that, gap year really ruins your success opportunities, your career, and a lot of stigma around it. But nonetheless, I took it because I thought it's important for me to sort of do that. And I took it. I really wanted to leave my parents' house because growing up, I was always told that after 12th grade, you have to move out and you have to do your own thing. So I was really excited to sort of do that as well. And I really did not know why I wanted to be an engineer before I got into VIT Mesra. So while it was aspirational, while it was something that the society obviously said that you should be an engineer, but I really, at that time, while I was really inclined towards sciences, but I really did not know why I wanted to be an engineer. So that was a little bit of a quick gist about my early life and things I did before VIT Mesra happened. Then from 2010 to 2015, I graduated. So this was my first job. I was working at Idea Cellular, which is now, I think, Vodafone Idea, as a company. So I was hired as a graduate engineer trainee at Idea. And this was my first job out of VIT Mesra. There were a lot of different kind of job roles that sort of came in as well. But I really wanted to work because I was doing my electronics and communication engineering. So I really wanted to work in communications, and telecommunications being, of course, the closest of what we could do at that time. So Idea was sort of a really exciting role for me because I thought that I definitely will implement or execute what I've learned at college. So it was exciting from that perspective. Couple of things that happened during that time as well. This is so I started as a graduate engineer trainee, and then I moved as my role moved toward to another exciting position in the corporate strategy team, where I was working with the chief technology officer. This is my boss, Mr. Tannan over here. He's the chief technology officer of Idea, and he gave me a really exciting opportunity to work with his office. And this is Mr. Birla, who's the chairman of the Aditya Birla Group. So this is from actually the pictures from actually one of the Aditya Birla Group awards, where I got to meet him. While I used to meet him otherwise for work, but this was in a setting where I was part of this group of people. They were nominated, and I had done a lot of work around things around telecom spectrum auctions at the time and things like that. So I was sort of nominated, and I had the opportunity to sort of meet all these really exciting leaders in the space. A little bit from that day. It was a really exciting day for me. It was in 2014. So this was after 4 years of actually working with the company, and really exciting stuff that I did. But what were the things that I did before Idea happened? I think a couple of points that I want to sort of put down for all of you to take away is that I worked hard, but maybe I did not work smart before Idea happened. So this is at the time when I'm talking about when I was in Mesra. So this is, I've put down everything in the way that I've sort of divided it into things happened before I got into a certain place. So hopefully that works for you guys. But I worked hard, but I did not work smart, I think, even at Mesra. I failed. It was the first time that I failed at something, and that was engineering mechanics. I don't know if it's still the case for a lot of people over there, because it was really, really tough subject. And it was the first time ever that I failed any subjects. It was a very big shocker in my first semester, and I was quite upset about it. So I really worked hard for the summer back that I had, and I got an EX after that. I really worked hard over there, but I was really taken aback by this whole failure, and I wanted to sort of really compensate for it. I really worked around engineering mechanics and made it happen. I made some really amazing friends who are still my friends for a very long time. We had a great 4 years at engineering college, doing really exciting things. I was part of various clubs, like IEEE, IET, part of various of these, experiences and stuff like that we were hosting, sort of building the community around, the events that we were doing at that time. And it was very vibrant. I remember when we were over there. I was very intimidated by my amazing peer group, because we had some really, really intelligent people in the batch who were rank holders, who were doing some really exciting stuff. And I was quite intimidated, but I never showed it. I think that's one thing that I was doing, definitely. And like I said, I really wanted to work in the field of electronics and communication, and that's the subject I chose. So I stuck to that, and I worked with IDEA as my first job. So that's what I was doing back in the day. Then from 2015 to 2016, I decided to do my MBA. So I was at Indian School of Business. These are some of my quick glimpses of my time at ISB in Hyderabad. Again, it was a very exciting peer group that I was part of. Really amazing network of people who were doing some really exciting stuff at the time. So this was what I was up to. There was a lot of knowledge sharing, a lot of really exciting things to learn about business, about things I really wanted to learn at that time, and things like that. And so a little bit of a glimpse of what I was doing at the time. But just a quick recap on the things I did before ISB happened. So this was the time when I was at IDEA, and these were a couple of things that I did that could be also exciting for you to listen to. So a little story about this was the first confrontation that I had with my first boss around my appraisal. So, every year when you are in a corporate organization, you are given a rating depending on the work that you've done. So I was very confident that the work that I did at the time when I was a GET and other things was very meaningful and very exciting, and I had put in a lot of hard work, and my boss was not particularly of the same opinion, and he gave me a very average rating. So I confronted him for the first time, and it took a lot of courage to do that, because he was like a very senior person in the system, and I was not really happy with the way that my work was sort of looked at. So I really questioned myself, and I thought that it's exciting to be courageous about the fact that if you don't think that something's right, and if you think that you need more from it, it's important to speak up. And that's why I confronted him, and we had a conversation where we sort of laid down what was wrong, what was right, but I still was not okay with it. But I at least that was the one big step that I took, that I spoke about it. Well, I also did a lot of night shifts at the telecom switch and learned on the job. So I was literally, out of the 2 years that I was working in the switch department before I moved to the CTO's office, I was working in these night shifts where it was quite exciting in the sense that I was getting to learn a lot on the job. There was a lot of hardware, software related stuff that I was learning. So it was really exciting. But a lot of, at that time as well, there was a lot of stuff around the fact that how we do it. There was not gender bias, but definitely, concern about women being in night shifts and things like that. And I really wanted to sort of break that barrier and do that at that time, because it's important. It was very important for me to learn at that stage as well. And I was always on the lookout for opportunities to grow. So I was always thinking of ways of how I could improve myself, how I could learn more, how I could do more things when nobody asked me to do it. And that's how I also sort of got the job at the CTO's office, because at the time he was calling out for, somebody from the graduate engineer trainees to be part of his team. And I thought that was a great opportunity. And I think, it was luck was on my side, and I got the transition. So I made a transitional shift from being an engineer to being part of a board, being board meetings with the leadership team of such a large organization. So it gave me a really exciting perspective on how businesses are, how technology is, what are the different kind of things that they do, what are the kind of budgets are they using, how do they manage people. And I was I was like a fly on the wall who was listening to all this conversation and learning a lot. So it gave me a very exciting insight and learning into the whole space of telecommunication as a business, and even from a technology perspective. So I learned a lot about that. And what I did the best is, one, of course, confrontation when I did not like something, but I also asked, I worked hard, and I did not shy away from asking questions, because it's very important to ask questions when you are when you don't understand things. And if you don't ask questions, you're never going to understand those things. So it's very important that you ask, even if you think that it's stupid, but you need to ask those questions. So that's what I did during my time when I was at IDEA. And that's how I made it to ISB as well after that. And then 2016 to 2018, I was working for the government of Andhra Pradesh as part of the Chief Minister's IT Advisory and Strategy. I was driving a lot of investments into the state. So my role involved a lot of strategic collaborations with different countries, with different organizations, with different startups and things like that, organizing conferences, getting people together, bringing them over, having conversations around how we could help them as a government, how we could create this ecosystem. So this is a picture from actually one of the conferences, the first conferences that I spearheaded and organized. And we had about 2,000 people flying in from different parts of the world. And it was a really exciting time for me, because I had put down all of this together. And this is a picture from the time and things like that. And these are some of my other pictures of talking about what the government was doing. We were also running this initiative around creating apart from the fintech and the blockchain initiative that we were doing, we were also creating a digital technology institute in Tirupati, for which I was driving a lot of marketing, a lot of operational work and things like that. And this is like the ad or like this feature that happened on the first page of Sunday Times. And it was one of the really exciting moments of the time when I was looking at things that I was doing and meeting these amazing leaders from across the world, talking about what we're doing, talking about innovation, talking about technology, talking about things that we can do differently, even though it was a government setup. And it was really exciting to sort of, have that experience at, working across different parts of the world and bringing that, as a government to various large international organizations and what we're doing. So from a corporate role, it sort of moved into a government kind of strategic role. And it was something that I was doing, over 2016 to 2018. And these are some of the glimpses of my life at the time and things like that. So a couple of things I wanted to sort of, again, put down. So the things that I did before the government of Andhra Pradesh happened. So I took a year and did not pressure myself to perform. So this was at ISB because when I decided to go for my MBA, I didn't want to be under the pressure of competition. And I didn't want to be under any kind of competitive pressure that this is the GPA that I want to achieve. This is the dream company that I want to go to. This is the path that I've decided. I just wanted to take the year and and only learn and do things that I wanted to do, try to, explore my passions, try to see what really, excites me and things like that. So I took that whole year of ISB to the fact that I wanted to really, really not put pressure on myself or to perform. I spent time on things that I was really interested in. So be it, things around rural marketing or, learning about corporate strategy, or even like, hanging out with friends, hosting parties and things like that. I did things that I really wanted to do. And I wanted to really build, the time to really meet more people, to have meaningful interactions and learn from their experience, because a lot can we learned from other people. And I think that time of when I was at ISB, I really wanted to take that year to really learn from others and learn about things that are, that really mattered to me. And I also stood for the GSB, which is the graduate student body, which is like it's like a election of sorts where we have a president, you have a couple of other positions, but I did not get it. But it was really fun to stand for it because we used to have these soap boxes and things like that. So I was doing a bunch of that. It was really exciting. So I really wanted to do it, but it doesn't matter if you fail, right? Because you need to try different things. I was honing a lot of my emceeing skills. So I was literally the host for every event at, be it a digital summit, be it a fun alumni meet or everything. I was the MC for all of these events. And I was really loving it because I'd never done that before. So I really wanted to sort of really see whether it was working for me or not. So everybody used to call me for, MCing the events and things like that. So it was a lot of fun. And I curated a bunch of events and the community over there. So I was part of the Media and Entertainment Club. So we had organized something called the Oscars, and things like that, where we got like the whole college together for this really exciting evening. And then we used to do a bunch of other things around video marketing and things like that, a bunch of events around how do you sort of use media and entertainment for outreach and brand engagement and things like that. So I was doing a bunch of those things. I definitely learned a lot about time management because ISB is about a year-long program. And it's sort of a compressed MBA in that way. So you have to do a lot of things. So from attending classes, of course, to doing your assignments, but you also are trying to sort of have fun with extracurricular activities and things like that. So I think for the whole year, I slept only for like 2-3 hours in the night, basically every day. So because, you have to do so much. So I really learned a lot about time management and how to balance work and play. I also got a job and I lost it. So the first job that I got during my placement time was with this company called Stayzilla. And it's a really exciting story because it was on day 0 of campus placement and I'd gotten the job and it was really exciting job of a brand manager at this. So Stayzilla was like Airbnb in India. And at the time they were of course doing really well and it was a great package. Everything was perfect about it. And it was day 0 of the placement that I got the job. And then what happened was that was in December of 2015 and we were graduating in April 2016. So then after that, what happened was in March 2016, Stayzilla came back to us and said that, we don't have any more funding and they were going bankrupt. So they were sort of delaying the process of our joining. So it was in a very dicey situation. So the placement cells sort of told us that, listen, guys, you don't have a job, I think, in most cases because this company is going to shut. And this was 1 month before our graduation. And we had seen I had literally seen all of my classmates get placed over the last couple of months, right, from December to March. And it was kind of a little bit of a shock. And it was really crazy because it was a month to go for graduation and we couldn't, and I really couldn't do much about it. But the only thing I could do was stay positive and see what is the next opportunity that came in. And a week after that, actually, the government of Andhra Pradesh came in to hire on the campus. And that's how I got my job as well. So it was actually a great thing to happen that I got that job and I lost it because the kind of opportunity that I had with the government of Andhra Pradesh and the work that I was doing, I don't think so any other job could have offered at that time. It was a really exciting opportunity. And I took that bet because it was an open-ended role and I knew I could do something about it. So I went for it. I believed in my gut and I said that let's experiment and let's see what happens. And it really turned out to be a great, great, great learning experience. So that's how I got to the government of Andhra Pradesh. So that's a little bit of story. And coming back to the present now, this is Makers Asylum. We currently moved to our space from Mumbai to Goa. And this is how it looks. It's inside a 100-year-old Goan house. And we have a lot of tools and equipment in the space. Very creative space to do a lot of things and learn a lot of things. So a little bit about Makers Asylum now and what we do basically. So this is my journey. So I left the government of Andhra Pradesh in 2018. And I started working with Makers Asylum as a partner with the founder of the space Webhav in 2018. And basically, since then, I've been driving a lot of strategic collaborations. I also look at the business side of things, how to make it a sustainable business, a lot of entrepreneurial journey that I'm leading now from a perspective of how do you pay your employees, because we are not a funded organization, but we are a sustainable organization. So I'll talk a little bit more about what we do. And so for the last 7 years, we've been building a learning platform to not only just teach skills, but to build a maker mindset. So a maker space has been, so we've been sort of a place of innovation of sorts, you can say, where people can come in with ideas and make it happen together. And a maker space is a space which I can show you actually how it looks, but it has a lot of equipment open for the community to come and access and use in different capacities. So we've had over 30 startups that have come out of this place organically over the last couple of years. We've done a bunch of programs. We do a lot of product innovation for different organizations. We also do a lot of our own product lines and things like that, apart from which is core, which is to us, which is teaching skills and sharing skills. So our vision is to foster a very innovative ecosystem in the areas of engineering, design, and sustainability in India. And our skill set as a community and as an organization lies in bringing together different kind of groups to work on problem solving via the lens of design thinking, frugal innovation, and rapid prototyping. So I'll explain what all of this means in a little bit further, but just to give you an imagination of the space, we have anything from a wood shop to a metal shop. So, people of different kinds come and use the space. So Priyank is a metal artist who does metal work, and this is a table that he's making at the space. We have a laser cutting lab, a laser cutter. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it's a really exciting tool for a lot of architects, designers, engineers to sort of visualize a lot of 3D spaces and things like that. So all of this that you see is sort of laser cut over here, things like that can be done with the machine. We have a ton loads of 3D printers as well at this space. We have an electronics and a robotics lab. We also have a lot of virtual reality tools. So anything at the intersection of hardware, design, and sustainability is something that we work on, and all of these tools are open for anyone to come and access. So like your labs in the engineering college, which are only for engineering school students, these labs are open to anyone. So you can imagine them to be like a gym for tools, and you can share them and you can become a member and you can use them. And if you don't know how to use them, we also teach you how to do it. But all of this sort of started back in 2013. This is when I was actually working with IDEA, and Weber founded this space back in the day, when the ceiling of his office fell down and broke all this furniture, and he called for a DIY meetup to build furniture. And that's how the community started. And I was part of the community even back then, and I was very fascinated by the idea of Maker's Asylum. But I never really knew how to contribute back and to bring my skill set to, make this movement into a much larger movement and things like that. So, but we are unique. You guys can hear me, right? Let me know if you can't. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible and it's quite clear.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, perfect. So what we've been trying to do over the years now is sort of build a problem-solving mindset to build confidence to innovate. So basically, having access to these tools gives you an avenue to actually really look at innovation from a first-person perspective, because now you are making your own product, you're making your own solution, and you're going through this process of iterative design and working with people who have really exciting creative skills to contribute to their project. So it's an open space for experimentation and actually, creation, right? So, but to give you an example of what we do, I'll actually go back to a little bit of what was happening during the time of COVID. So just like the world, we had to shut down the space when India went into the biggest ever lockdown on the 23rd of March. And being a small startup and a self-sustainable business, it was obviously hard on us. So we had to think about ways of keeping ourselves alive, and how do we, shut down the space, because our space is an infrastructure space where people come in, use it, and things like that as well, right? So to shut it down meant giving a lot of rent in Bombay, because this was in Bombay when we were doing all of this. So for the last 7 years, we've been in Bombay, but we recently moved our space to Goa. after during the pandemic, actually, in September 2020. So we had to shut down, and it was really, really hard on us. And that's when we decided that, Vaibhav, myself, and a couple of team members, we decided to lock ourselves down at the asylum next to our tools and find ways in which we could actually be, in some way impactful and helpful to the society, right? So at the time, there was a lot of talk that was happening in the open source community around PPEs, because in India, there was a massive shortage of PPEs, and there was nobody who was a manufacturer, because originally it was, PPEs were made only in China, and India was, of course, not making it during that time. So we started doing a bunch of stuff around making these face shields. You can see this first prototype that we made of this face shield, because this was done on the laser cutting machine that I showed you earlier, where we were able to put down this really quick prototype of this, face shield, and made it at the cost of 20 rupees or something like that, and sort of use the equipment that we had access to sort of quickly prototype and make these over at the space, because we were all isolating at the space when lockdown happened. Then we went back ahead, and we used to get these user feedbacks from a bunch of doctors who were working in these hospitals. And remember, at this time, this is Mumbai. So it was the most affected with COVID at the time. And there was a paranoia across board in Mumbai at the time. So we literally did not have any way to obviously sort of, get accreditation or, get testing done to these face shields and things like that. So we relied a lot on design thinking. So the second part of design thinking always focuses on user feedback and for whom you're designing, right? So we went a lot to these doctors at night after their shifts were over to understand whether these face shields would work for them or not. And then we launched this campaign, which was calling this crowdfunding campaign that we sort of called in to build 10,000 face shields, while there were only 4 of us in the space, and we were calling for volunteers in Mumbai and things like that. So we put a goal of 10,000, but it was a really scary goal, because it was only 3-4 of us who were making this with hand, while of course we were laser cutting it on the machine, but we were actually making them by hand. So 3 people making 10,000 shields, I don't even know the math. Like, I don't know when would it get made. So we were pretty scared about it, but we were getting so many requests that we thought that, as part of our impact work, let's start this crowdfunding campaign, because the frontline workers really need this. So let's just use our tools and be effective in the time when things can't happen really on the ground. So that's when we started, sort of doing this campaign. But a lot of people actually started coming in to help. So that's our space in Bombay, where you can see all these volunteers sort of making these shields by their hands, and really. We used to literally sleep, eat, and drink shields at that time. So there was a whole, and remember, this is at the time when there was a national lockdown. So there's a whole choke supply chain. There was nothing. There was no courier happening. There was no transportation happening. There was no materials available. And there was a big, big demand of these face shields, because the hospitals and the frontline workers, like even the police and everybody, really needed protection, and they had none at the time. While, of course, now all of us have gotten into the phase of not wearing masks and things like that, and it's a year now. But at that time, things were different, right? So, what we did was, because we knew that we couldn't do this by ourselves, just from the spirit of being an open space and an open culture, and always believed in open sourcing as a space, we open sourced our designs. So all the files of these shields were available online on GitHub, and we made a whole video about how to sort of make them, how to sanitize them, and we started sharing this. So slowly, what we realized is, over the days, people from 42 cities, towns, and villages started joining, who had makers, who were basically, who had access to a laser cutting machine, who had access to some of these materials. They started joining the collective. So the initiative was called the M19 initiative. And slowly, we got to, meet people who were using our designs and making these face shields for their local, frontline workers. So we had about 42 villages, towns, and cities sort of join in the M19 collective. And we were literally, we went from having literally 15 shields on 29th of March to making 1 million shields in 49 days by the 15th of May, when the whole country was in literal lockdown and there was nothing absolutely available at the time. And this is an exciting graph. So when we started, Makers Asylum was, of course, consistently sort of working on it because, we were like making these shields. But there were so many labs who were actually doing more things because, we were openly sharing. So there was updates on design, process. People were developing more fast. And having a product design and go to market in a week's time is not something that is a cycle for any product innovation, right? So we literally made the product and it went to market in terms of, sort of giving it out to healthcare workers, and that in about a week's time from the lockdown to the 29th March. The 23rd March was the lockdown, and you can see on 29th of March, we started sort of building the whole campaign around actually distributing these face shields. And at a point, actually, other labs were doing much better. You can see this lab in blue and others were doing much better. As a group, as a collective, we were able to sort of bring in so much more from a distributed manufacturing standpoint than we could ever do as a centralized standpoint. So you can see on the right, we started with a paper prototype, just like a Jugaad prototype, basically. And then we went into laser cutting, and then we had to change materials because somebody said that the MDF is a porous material, so you can't use it inside ICUs. So we had moved to acrylic, and then we chanced upon sunboard, which is a very exciting material because it's not absorbent and it works really well and it's super easy to use and it's locally available. So we went through 21 design iterations since we started making these, and this is the final one that we had at the end of it, which was injection molded later. So we use different kinds of manufacturing processes and things like that because we had access to a space like Makers Asylum, which is open innovation. We had tools and we could do this at the time when, there was nothing out there. So like I said earlier as well, 42 cities, towns and villages, and we had a really exciting interdisciplinary group. So there were not only makers, but there were doctors, engineers, filmmakers, production people. I don't know. It was like a media house was part of it. There were like so many people who were contributing across board, like over 300 volunteers from different parts of the country, from Jammu Kashmir to Guwahati to Nanded to, I don't know, like different parts of the country. And the initiative took such a exciting turn, and the way that the volumes came out in 49 days, University of Cambridge in the UK and the open source medical supplies in the US have written case studies about the initiative as to how distributed manufacturing and having a space which is like a maker space really contributes to the level of grassroots level innovation. And obviously it's such a great thing to have in the time of crisis, not only in time of crisis, but also in general, because it offers people the avenue to really go beyond the traditional way of thinking, break that barrier and do more with it. So we also did a bunch of other stuff, like, sort of had different use cases for the shields. Like we made these superhero shields for, children, because for them to, sort of wear them. It was more like a behavioral design approach to, problem solving. And then we made these for little infants because they couldn't wear masks. So they're still actually being sold and stuff like that. We also made the PAPR, which is an active respirator, and we gave about 100 units to a bunch of hospitals. And all of this is happening, by the way, during the lockdown. So this respirator was also made in a month's time. So you can see the accelerated innovation that is happening. This is another rebreather that we made for senior citizens for help them, breathe comfortably and things like that. So this is a little bit of the, how you can imagine the space and what it can do. But over the years, we've been focusing a lot on teaching these skills to a lot of people. So we have a lot of programs which are focused around bringing different people together to work in an environment that is set to problem solving. And we have things like, we did this program called STEAM School, which brings in young leaders from across the world to work on sustainability. So anywhere from students, artists, designers, everyone can join this program. And it's 2-week-long program where we working on the UN Sustainable Development Goals and solving problems around it. We have another program called the SDG School as well, sort of focuses on social entrepreneurship and why is it important. Another one that we do with a business school in France called Dive, again, is focused around business and social entrepreneurship, but in the heart of being at a maker space and how you can use it to really not just ideate, but actually make things, because it's important to make things, right? And we've been doing a bunch of stuff even online now. Even COVID, we could reimagine our programs online, and we're still doing it across board. So we now have alumni in over 25 countries. And we have a really exciting community that comes together and works on these really exciting solutions, and uses their skills in multidisciplinary ways to contribute to various large high impact issues. And we have a bunch of partners across board, from universities to corporate organizations to developmental organizations like UNESCO, embassies, and others. And it's a really exciting group of people that we've had the opportunity to work over the years to really bring in a different way of thought to learning, and having a space which is open in the way so that it can really promote passion and culture. And just to summarize, and this is my last slide and I'll stop after this, but these were the things that I did before Makers Asylum happened. And this is Vaibhav. He's also, by the way, my partner in real life. He's also my husband now. And of course, we're a partner in business as well. And now we do everything together and things like that. But these are a couple of things that I did before Makers Asylum happened. I took a ton load of flights, because that was at the time that I was working for the government of Andhra Pradesh. So every day I used to be on a different flight. I traveled the world. I saw really exciting places. I explored a lot of my entrepreneurial skills before actually sort of becoming an entrepreneur. I hosted a bunch of these international conferences, met a couple of people, worked in different environments, adapted to new things, and really saw things from the perspective of, bringing an opportunity to crisis, and started appreciating a lot that the government does, learned a lot about new technologies, truly understood the meaning of ownership. When you say you're owning things and you're doing things, and it's your responsibility of doing this. I think I really understood that from my previous role, and I have applied that to what I've been doing at the asylum as well. And most importantly, know when it's time to also move away from things that don't excite you, because at the end of the day, your journey is going to be all about what you choose in life. So do not really compromise on experimenting and finding your passion, because that's going to be something that's going to stay with you, and you will always have a purpose if you have a passion. So that's about it. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hopefully, 1 second. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Your words were really insightful, and we really felt that they were inspiring. And especially in these times of COVID, the prevailing situation has indeed become stressful for all of us. So this was indeed needed. Thank you very much. So now the house is open for discussions and questions. If anybody wants to ask something to Richa ma'am, you can write it in the chat box. Any questions from anybody's side? Okay, so I think I'll break the ice by asking something to ma'am first of all.
Sure.
So ma'am, like you said that it's very important to manage your time before you set out to do something. So presently we are all college students, and these days it's becoming all the more difficult, with online classes going on, and then we have several things in mind. We aim to do something extra. So we are so very busy with our careers that how to go about doing extra, that time management, what do you suggest for managing time as such?
I think, definitely from a perspective of time management, there's a lot that you can do. I think having a routine, having certain things that are in place that you do every day, can make a lot of difference. Nowadays, you guys have access to so many different things like a Google Calendar, to things that are there, in terms of taking notes, having your thoughts put out there. Back in the day, all of this was not there as well. And now there's so many tools that really help you with effectively managing a lot of things. So technology can be used in really exciting ways to sort of manage time. But I think it's very important to have certain things that you definitely do in the day. Like, if you wake up in the morning, if you do a round of exercise or whatever that is, or something that you sort of take 1 hour to sort of do some meditation, yoga, I don't know, to sort of align yourself for the day and then get started. So I think most of the days would be most productive if you have a certain kind of routine, maybe.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I understand that. And just an add-on to this question, in this time of COVID, when everything was under strict lockdown, did you ever feel that stress condition prevailing and feeling that, oh, there's so much of load and I can't step out and everything has has to be done within the boundaries of four walls. So, how did you manage that situation? Because you still kept going on with your work, you were consistent in your progress. So, how did you manage that frustration and that stress?
Actually, we were not frustrated at all. I mean, we were, of course, scared, and we were, we were from a perspective of our business and having the space sort of shut down and things like that. We were scared, but we were not frustrated because we had a goal of, contributing back, and it's really kept us going. So the adrenaline was really high. It was we had a very surreal experience during COVID. I don't think anybody had something like this, and we had an agenda and we had a mission to, sort of. Be at. So I think it was very exciting times for us actually during that time, and we learned so much, and we collaborated with people more. We had so much to do actually at the time, because it's how you sort of really look at an opportunity or a crisis, right? So if you think that it's a crisis, then it's going to be a crisis. But if you think that it's going to be an opportunity, then you can turn around a lot of things.
Yes, ma'am. And here we have some questions with us. Pujita Kumar is asking that how did you manage capital and other expenses being a sustainable business? Uh,
So, Pujita, the way that we sort of, when Vaibhav started back in the day, he literally started the space with 5,000 rupees and a table. So that's how we started, when he started the space back in the day. It was literally, you don't need capital to make a business. What you really need is passion and perseverance and an idea that you really believe in. So you will do anything that sort of, makes that idea live. So from a 5,000 rupees and a table to a community space which had no revenue sources at the time, over the years, we've created those revenue sources. We've created that market, these programs that we've developed. We've used our skills to share it with other people. We've sort of also find ways of having others pay for things that we are talented about, right? So you have to find ways of creating those revenue streams, because not every time that you need capital to really run a business, you need ideas and you need the right kind of teams to sort of really work around things that matter. And the passion is core to sustaining a business. So if you're really passionate about the fact that this is the idea that I'm going to make it work, you will make it happen even without capital and other things. You will make things work in a way that it will have revenue streams. We're still doing that actually right now. So we still have a lot of things that we're exploring. We're innovating as we go, and we're really trying to sort of create a space for a space like this, because it's something new, something exciting that people don't understand, but at the same time is a very special place that needs to be kept from a perspective of innovation in the country and other things. So yeah.
Ma'am, just one last question for you for the day. Here we have Nitya Rajkumar asking that are there any particular products or innovations in work right now?
So actually, we're doing a bunch of stuff even now. At the moment, we're working on this educational platform that we've created, which is online, which is sort of a hybrid model, where we have been making a lot of alternative learning kits that goes to people's home, and we also do it 1:1 sort of hands-on in that manner. So how do you sort of take this space to somebody's home, right? So we're working on products that can create that same environment at somebody's home. And how do you sort of really, how does the makerspace come to somebody's house? Because now that they can't come to the makerspace, how do we create that? So we're creating an online learning platform of sorts, which is hybrid in nature, but also has these really exciting hardware that comes to your home and things like that. We also have been working on new programs and things like that, where we've been doing these kind of product innovations with different students like yourself and things like that who are part of the program and things like that. We also have been doing a lot of work with different brands and organizations. So we work on their products. Like, for example, recently we developed something which was the plastic recycling lab for Hindustan Unilever, which was basically designed to teach children plastic recycling in remote areas of India. So it was a Mahindra Jeeto, or like a auto sort of converted into a lab, where it has a plastic recycling unit with extruder, shredder, and everything at the back, and a 3D printer on the other side. So it sort of shows the circular economy of plastic as to how you can shred it, recycle it, extrude it, and then you could put it in the 3D printer and actually create a new product altogether. So you're not like wasting it, but you're sort of creating a new product. So how do you sort of visualize plastic? And we did a lot of content around it. It's gone to about 1 lakh students now in different parts of the country, and it's sort of focused around teaching children how to recycle plastic.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So I think we are through with the questions for the day. So now I would like to request the Director of Entrepreneurship Development Cell, Abhiram Bhaiya, to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Am I audible? Hello?
Abhiram Bhaiya, is this?
I mean,
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, you're audible. Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your journey. To be honest, it is more relatable and close to our students, given the fact that all the hustles and hard work you need to make to get into a good college. And then probably once you're into the college in the first and second semester, you're faced with this huge subjects known as engineering mechanics and advanced engineering mathematics. And then right when you're all chilled and relaxed, and then you'll have to face and qualify all those subjects. So it is really, it is more relatable to us right now, given the fact that a lot of students here are right now are in the first and second year, so they know what all it takes to clear those subjects. And also, I believe that this talk is a testament to the fact that even if you have ups and downs initially in your career, you can actually make a lot of things out of it. And also, given the fact that it also clears a lot of rumors about how ISB judges candidates, because people assume you need to have a perfect resume to get into a college like ISB and IIMs. And also wonderful detour about how the behind the scenes of how government works. So it is really insightful, and I don't think many people would really know what happens behind the scenes. All they think is like there's some lazy system going on behind the scene, but then it was really insightful. And also about the product development during a lockdown and how you can manage supply chain even when everything is restricted, every movement is restricted. I believe this will definitely help the budding product managers. And then on finally, personally, I would request if it would be nice if Makers Asylum would come up with some lab for biotech students like me as well. So finally, on behalf of E-Summit and Team EDC, I really thank you for taking your time on spending and giving us a lot of insight.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure to, give back in whatever way that I can to all of you guys. And I really hope that you guys will, of course, do well, because there's no doubt about that. And I really hope that all of you, don't take that kind of a pressure, but really try to find your passion, even if you've not been able to right now, but hopefully at some point you'll be able to find something which is your passion, and hopefully that'll give you a lot of purpose in life.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. See you around.
Thank you, ma'am. So with this, we end today's session on a very good note. Thank you to Richa, ma'am.